Welcome to chapter 29 of the book of Genesis. Jacob meets Rachel and Laban. I'll go through a little in the Greek, and then we'll go through the chapter. Ke exaras Yaakov tus podes eporevtheis gin anatolon proslaven ton ion vathuio tu siru, adelphon de Rebekkas mitros Yaakov ke Esau. And Jacob, lifting his feet, went into the land of the east. That is a figure of speech. Lifting his feet, it means he was walking, traveling. And he went to the land of the east, but Haran was supposedly up north somewhere. But the Mesopotamia Valley curves, and so the part of Mesopotamia was to the north of them and to the east, but it says east, so it says it's east. But on the map, you'd look up more or less northeast. And so he went to Bethel, Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Siru, so Assyrian. And the Syrians were up where Haran is on that map I showed you in the last chapter. Up to the north. And he was the brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau. And he, Jacob, saw, and behold, there was a well in the plain where he went. And there were 3 flocks of sheep resting near it. For from out of that well they watered the flocks. And these wells were dug into the ground like wells are today, pretty much. Exactly, it says here, and there was a great stone upon the mouth of the well. Now, how you would get a great stone on top of a well and get it off, I don't know how they built it, but apparently there was some type of a stone blockage. Now, why was there a stone blocking it? Well, it may have been that they didn't want other people to use the water of the well, except for the people that were supposed to, that either paid for it or the ones that owned that land. And it says then, and all the flocks came together there, and they rolled away the stone from the mouth of the well. So I don't know if they tipped it up and rolled it. However, they watered the sheep and restored, and they pulled up the water and put it in troughs. And they restored the stone upon the mouth of the well into its place. And after they're done, they put it down. I suppose so nobody else could use that water. In that place, country, water was a high commodity, probably worth as much as gold in some ways. And Jacob said to them, "Brothers, from what place are you?" Now here I want to note, brothers, from what place are you? And they said, "We are from out of Haran," where he was going. And he said to them, "Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor?" And they said, "We know him." And he said to them, "Is he in health?" Hygiene is the word we have, the hygiene comes from that. And they said, "Hygiene, he is in health." And you can see the spelling is the same. Is he in health? And then the answer, he is in health. So it would have to do with the pronunciation of the spoken words. Is he in health? He's in health. Even though it was the same word. Hygiene? Hygiene. More or less like that. And behold, Rachel, his daughter, comes with the sheep. So now we have a woman coming, and there may have been others. And Jacob said, "Well, there is still much day, for not yet is the hour for the herds to come together, having watered the sheep, sending them forth to graze them. It's too early to do this." And they said, "We are not able until the coming together of all the shepherds, and they should roll away the stone from the mouth of the well. And then we shall water the sheep." Now, like I mentioned, it could be that this well was owned by others that controlled it, or it could be these people weren't strong enough to get the stone off of the well. It may have been that there were some women, even though it says, remember, brothers. I was saying he says brothers, but it could have been women too with them if they were all mixed up, and that may be why they weren't able to move this rock by themselves. And while he was speaking to them, that behold, Rachel, the daughter of Laban, comes with the sheep of her father, for she grazed the sheep of her father. And it came to pass, as Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, brother of his mother, and the sheep of Laban, the brother of his mother, that coming forward, Jacob rolled away the stone from the mouth of the well. So he apparently was very strong, and these others couldn't do it by themselves. And he watered the sheep of Laban, the brother of his mother. I'm using the Greek pronunciation. And Yaakov kissed Rachel, and yelling with his voice, he wept. He must have been gone a long time to get up to where he was. Finally, he made it. And now he's crying because he finally got to where he was supposed to go. And he reported to Rachel that he is a brother of her father. Now, he's not the brother, he's a nephew. So we see these words in Greek. It can have, in English, you would have different words. But here we have an adelphos for a brother, and really he was a nephew. So it could be a nephew. So whenever you see this adelphos, sometimes it could be a nephew. That's, I think, pretty important even in the New Testament, because it mentions certain people are brothers, but it could be that they're nephews. And then it also used patros in the Bible for a father or a grandfather, as it was in the last chapter, and then I believe a cousin for a sister, because of Abraham marrying his cousin, and he called her his sister. And she, Rachel, ran to report to her father concerning these words. And it came to pass, as Laban heard the name of Yaakov, the son of his sister, he ran to meet him. So he probably had heard through letters that Rachel had, Rebekah had 2 children. And taking hold of him, Laban, kissed Jacob and brought him into his house. And Jacob, described to Laban all these matters, all the things that happened, why he's left and he's where he's at. And Laban said to him, well, from out of my bones and from out of my flesh are you. And he was with him a month of days. That is Jacob. And Laban said to Jacob that, for you are my brother, well, he's actually a nephew, you shall not slave to me without charge. You tell to me what your wage is. So he's not going to be some type of a slave. So apparently they had slaves. And to Laban were 2 daughters. The name to the elder was Leah, and the name to the younger was Rachel. But the eyes to Leah were weak, but Rachel was good to the sight and beautiful in the appearance, exceedingly. Now, I think this another figure of speech, but the eyes to Leah were weak. That means hard to look at. She wasn't beautiful. And Yaakov loved Rachel, and he said, I will serve to you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said to him, well, better for me to give her to you than for me to give her to another man. You live with me. And Yaakov served for Rachel 7 years, and they were before him as a few days. And they went by quickly, and because of his love for her, they went by quickly, just thinking about her all the time. And Yaakov said to Lavan, well, give to me my wife, for the days are fulfilled, so as to enter to her. And Lavan brought together all the men of the place and made a wedding. And it became evening, and taking Leah, his daughter, Laban, brought her to Jacob, and Jacob entered to her. And Laban gave, Laban gave to Leah his daughter Zilpah, his maidservant. And it happened in the morning, and behold, there was Leah. And Yaakov said to Lavan, what is this you did to me? Now, how you would wonder, well, how would he not have known it wasn't Rachel? Well, either she was covered up and he didn't see her, or he was intoxicated, possibly. It was real dark, all of the things together. But he didn't. And he says, was it not on account of Rachel I served for you? And why did you mislead me? And Lavan said, it is not so in our place to give the younger before the elder, presbyteros. You complete then these sevenths, and I will give to you also this woman for the work of which you will work for me. You will work for me, yet another 7 years. Now, I believe that he possibly married Rachel at this time, and then just worked another 7 years, where Laban would get the money. But it's hard to figure this out, and as we go through here, I'll show you why. But it continues in 28, and Yaakov did so, and fulfilled these sevenths. So he worked the sevenths, but now did he have to wait until afterwards? I don't think so, because I'll show you why I don't think so here in the few verses. And Lavan gave to him Rachel, his daughter, to him as wife. So you would think it was after the seventh, because then he gave it to her. Now, that's a possibility. I may be misreading it. And Lavan gave Bilhah, the maidservant, to his daughter Rachel. Doesn't say Rachel, but it was. And he entered to Rachel, and he loved Rachel rather than Leah. So now he enters to Rachel. I think it was possibly at the same time. And he served to him another 7 years. So the serving of 7 years here is after his entering to Rachel, which is interesting. And then it continues in 31. And the Lord, seeing that Leah was detested, he opened her womb. But Rachel was sterile. So at the same time, it sounds like Rachel couldn't have a child. So it was probably the same time that Leah was having these children, as we see here in 32. And Leah, another thing is, okay, remember now, Lavan gave Rachel a maidservant also. And now, continuing, and she called his name Reuben. Leah conceived and bore a son to Jacob, and she called his name Reuven, saying, for the Lord, Kyrios, Yahweh, saw my humiliation and gave to me a son. Now then, my husband will love me. Kind of sad for me to think of that, because you want love the wife, and apparently he didn't, and he was tricked. But that's kind of a sad story. And again, Leah conceived and bore a second son to Yaakov, and said, for Kyrios heard that I am detested, and he gave in addition to me also this one. and she called his name Simeon. So that's making her feel better, just having these boys, because she knows that Yaakov is going to love having his sons to help him. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, in the present time my husband will be by me, for I bore to him 3 sons. On account of this she called his name Levi. And conceiving again she bore a son, and said, now yet this I will acknowledge to the Lord. On account of this she called his name Eudan. And she stopped bearing. So Leah has all these sons. Now it goes and continues in chapter 30. We get into the next chapter. We'll see that the next one to bear is Rachel's servant. So that's why I think that they were together at the same time, having these children. But to find out who all bears who, you have to come and listen to chapter 30. Hope you do. Till then, God bless.